These 10 RV mistakes are going to cost you. Welcome back to No Ordinary Path. I'm Kristen. This is Dorothy. We travel full-time in our 44-foot toy hauler all across the country. We're going on 5 years. My husband's a travel nurse, and we have 3 kids and a dog who's hanging out in the background. What is this weird little contraption? Well, it's a microphone because all of our mics seem to be going out at the same time, and there's a creak behind me that's really loud. So today I'm going to hold this little baby, but it doesn't do exactly what I want it to do, so I am going to end up sending it back, but not before I record this. It's a well-known fact in the RV community that RVing can be quite pricey, and part of the expenses is maintenance and handling things that go wrong in your RV. So today we're going to talk about 10 mistakes that people make that end up or could end up costing them a lot of money. Now, some of these mistakes we've made. Some of them we've made and gotten away with them to the point that they didn't end up costing us a lot of money, but they could have. And some of them we haven't made, but they're really good things to keep an eye on. Number 1 is do not ignore water leaks. If you see water anywhere in the RV where it's not supposed to be, don't ignore it.
Big mistake.
How have we made this mistake? Possibly a leak coming from our gray tank. We have narrowed it down to the gray tank. It's going to require that we take the underbelly off and really get in there and look at it. And it only happens when the gray tank is exceptionally full. So it's probably something at the top. We're not really exactly sure. It is something that we know that we shouldn't ignore. We do have plans to take Dorothy in for some repairs as soon as we get back to Arizona. Leaving your awning out, either leaving it out when you go to sleep or leaving it out when you're not there. Gusts of wind can come and destroy your awning at any point. Sometimes there might not be any wind in the forecast, but you might get just the right gust of wind at just the right angle that can really wreak havoc on your awning. We did have a rip in our awning on Windy. Was it from the wind or was it from excessive use? I don't know. But don't leave your awning out. Make sure it's always pulled in at night. Make sure it's pulled in when you leave, and just avoid having to mess with repairing the awning because that will rack up. Number 3 is don't forget to use your battery kill switch if you're going to let your RV sit for a while and you're not using it. We learned this the hard way when we bought our rig in Phoenix and we parked it in our backyard. We didn't realize there was even a kill switch on there. There was a big learning curve when it came to going from a travel trailer to a fifth wheel. But as we learned, if you don't use the kill switch and you don't turn off the power to the battery, you run the risk of just completely depleting the battery altogether. We had to replace the 2 batteries when we were on the road on the way up here to Massachusetts when we were in Michigan. And we still have some battery issues, so they're going to have to be replaced again. But that is an expense that you don't need to run into if you just make sure that you're taking good care of your batteries. Number 4, do not run your diesel tank bone dry. This happened to us on the road up to Massachusetts. I think it was somewhere between Michigan and the Northeast. And it was just a whole mess of things. There were a lot of things that we were trying to handle and take care of, and just a lot of things on our mind. And John thought that he had a certain number of miles left, but obviously sometimes the readers aren't accurate, and he ran out of gas feet from the gas station. This has never ever happened to him before. We were extremely fortunate. We did not have any damage. He did not try to turn it back on after it died. That is a huge tip. Don't try to turn your truck back on if you run out of diesel, because that could be very bad for it. Luckily for us, he was able to get a can of diesel and fill it back up. And when he tried to start, it sputtered at first and then came to life. And we avoided a very expensive mistake. But not everyone gets to avoid that, so just don't do it. Just make sure you're always topped off. Next one is not getting the right tow vehicle for your rig. Now, this one is controversial for us because we started with a half-ton truck and pulled our 37-foot travel trailer with the half-ton. Were we maxed out? Pretty much. We did weigh ourselves. We did make sure that we were under that max, but we were nowhere near like you should stay a certain amount under the max number. No, we were always right at the max. And the thing is we were trying to save money because we already owned the truck outright. I tell you what, that F-150 was the little truck that could. We did not ever have problems with it. It simply never had a problem. We had to go slow. There were hills that we had to climb at like 30 miles an hour. We knew we wanted to upgrade eventually. We always knew that we wanted to upgrade the truck. What ended up happening is we got a lemon of a truck twice in a row. All of this to say, make sure your truck is capable of towing what you have. And if you're going to go buy a new truck, take a lot of time, extra time, more than you think, to research it, to make sure that the truck you're getting is, number one, worth the money, and number two, the right truck for the job. Because otherwise, you might end up with a $15,000 bill. That was the worst mistake we ever made and cost us the most money. Next, make sure you have good tires. If you don't have good tires, accurate rated tires on your RV, you are setting yourself up for failure. It may never happen. You may never have a blowout. I feel like I need to knock on wood. We have never had a blowout, but we've come close. Do not try to save money by getting a poorer quality tire. This is your house on wheels if you are full-time. And one thing that John has always been adamant about is spending money on good quality tires for our rig. You do not want to have a blowout. The damage that could be caused from that blowout to your house is just not worth not spending good money on tires. Okay, are you guys ready for a good laugh on our behalf? The next one is do not trust Google Maps if you're towing a big rig. We've made this same mistake over and over and over again. Why? Because we just simply haven't gotten a GPS system or downloaded the right app yet.
No.
And up here in the Northeast, it's really difficult to travel with a big rig. You have to make sure you know your height. You need to make sure that you know where you can and can't travel on the roads, and that's very difficult. After we took our main trip, we really decided that we were just going to basically park the rig here in this particular campground and sightsee via other means while we're up here. That's why we just haven't been that motivated to spend the money on it. The next mistake is not checking before you leave. Not checking around the rig. Like a mental checklist. We do not have a piece of paper. I know some people do. Some people use the slap bracelet trick to make sure that they get everything done. We don't have anything like that. I do suggest if that works for you, that is awesome. Generally make sure that John does a walk around the rig before we leave, making sure that everything is closed up and locked and that things are secure and that the lights are working, all of those things. In Dorothy, we've had doors fly open, even though we did check them. Also double check the back of your truck in your truck bed to make sure that nothing is going to fly out. Because if you get too far and you have something that you could have checked, there's like potential for damage to not only you, but to damage to other people on the road, which is not safe. And it's going to cost you a lot of money. The next mistake I see a lot of people making is never boondocking. I think making sure that you occasionally boondock will save you so much money, personal opinion, but if you're staying in an RV park just for like 8 hours, you're sort of wasting money when you could totally lot dock or boondock someplace without paying anything. So never trying boondocking might be a mistake, could cost you some money. Last one is kind of funny because it's one of those that, yes, we made this mistake over and over and over again. As you know, with Wendy, we went a lot of places that probably we shouldn't have taken a 37-foot travel trailer, but those were often the most memorable trips that we took, even though it caused some damage. Is it going to cost you? Probably. Mainly in leaf springs and jack stands in the back, that overall it did contribute to the deterioration of Wendy, our travel trailer. We had her for 4 years, and by the time we traded her in, it was worth almost nothing because we had put so much wear and tear on her. But we made a lot of memories. We don't regret it. Did it cost us money? Yeah, it did. Okay, it's time for me to put down my little tiny mic and go inside and research a real mic that I might be able to purchase when we get to Arizona. We only have a few weeks left. We are going to keep airing our New England content all throughout the rest of this year because we have seen and done so many amazing things. We still have a few really cool outings planned in the next 2 weeks before we head back to Arizona. So stay tuned to our New England content. Thank you for being here. Leave us a comment below. What is something that you feel like is an RV mistake that costs a lot of money that maybe I forgot? I want to know. Thanks for being here, and we'll see you out there.